Alright guys, so I am refilming my first episode because I feel like my first episode of Uncomfortable Chats was messy. And there's going to be loads of clips, just of things that I said and things that I want to talk about. But from the feedback from people that know me are like, Hunter, people are not going to understand the context of this. And in order for you to be able to tell your story and to make Uncomfortable Chats what you want it to be and the platform you want it to be, you need to break everything down. So we have my best friend ChatGPT here, and this isn't notes. This isn't like I was like, oh, I need to say this, I need to say that. It's kind of just a structure for me to kind of follow because I feel like there's so much to talk about, and I kind of went on a tangent last time. Now, the whole thing about being misunderstood and me being who I am versus what people pick me out to be, or the perception that they create in their mind. Now, it always baffles me because people don't know fuck all about me. People think that because I'm pretty and I have a nice body and because I have a house, I have this and I have that everything just came to me easily. But what people don't understand is how fucking hard I've genuinely worked to achieve everything I have. And this is why I am so protective over it, because it took me a long time. A long time. And I don't understand why every time I talk about these things, I can talk about it to a stranger and I don't feel emotional. But the fact that I'm going to be talking about this and putting this out there, it genuinely makes me feel so emotional. And I don't understand why. So we're going to skip over that. Now, from what ChatGPT has advised, and my girl Naomi, is that I kind of break this down, right? So in order to break this down, to kind of rewind, okay? So I originally came to this country, and everyone's number one question is, why did I come here? I originally came to this country when I was 13. And yeah, I'm born and raised in the States, originally born in Colorado from my knowledge. That could be wrong. I've never seen my birth certificate, but apparently it's on my passport, so it must be right. And I was moved to Florida before I could even walk. So I'm from Miami. I'm from Florida. That's where I grew up. Those were all my memories. That's the place where, like, I know. So that's why when people ask me, oh, Hunter, where are you from? I say Miami. And when people ask me, what's your background? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. I have no clue what I have in me. And I have no real desire to find out. And I'll get into that later because I feel like there's more to that. This fly that is coming to my house because I've left the windows open is going to kill me. Can you get out, please? You're going to stress me out because I'm always stressed. He's gone in the bathroom, so let's hope he gets out of the anyways, because I can't deal with that noise in the background. But anyways, so memories from when I used to grow, like when I was in the States growing up. I didn't go to school until I was 10, so I didn't know how to read. I didn't know my maths. I didn't know history. I didn't know anything. Like, I knew what life presented that to me, if that makes sense. So I grew up in very unstable household. I went back from forth, like, to house. Like, we were constantly moving. And I think what was funny is now he said, like, mention like a happy memory, like a good memory. And to be honest, nothing is 100% like a good memory. Like, I don't have childhood memories that I can look back at and I can close my eyes and I can think, oh my God, that was a beautiful memory. Or like something that I can cherish, because I just don't have those memories. One thing I will say is that I've always loved animals and they've always been close to me. I've always liked them more than I like people. And growing up, going from house to house and not having friends, not going to school, not having a normal childhood, like, I always just ended up catching animals and bringing them home. So like, if people ask me like, what's the happiest memories you have, it's of me catching animals, or when we lived in the Everglades at one point for a short period, of me going out in the woods and fishing, creating like a fishing rod where I got a stick and I got some rope and I got a hook, and then I dig up for worms. Like stupid things like that, which obviously are not stupid, but they were more like me exploring nature, and me looking at sunsets, me climbing on top of the roof of the house and sitting and watching sunsets or looking at the stars. Like I was very much trying to find peace in a very chaotic situation, which was my life. So those are like my happy memories. And even like growing up, it's hard to like see everything in a lenient like way, because the way that I've blocked everything out from my memory. And I was speaking to my boy Sammy about this, about how like sometimes like you subconsciously push things so far in your subconscious because it was so traumatic that you don't remember everything. You just remember bits, and you may not remember how that even became, but you remember the situation and you remember the feeling. And for me, sometimes I think, oh, all the things that I've gone through like make me feel like I'm crazy, because I'm like, how the hell have I gone from this to this? How have I become the person I am today versus what I was meant to be, what I was growing to be? And I guess the only way to get into it is like, I remember, like I said, moving from house to house and being exposed to physical, sexual, and mental abuse. And these things constantly were present. It wasn't like they were getting worse, better, they were just there, and they were always just occurring. And for somehow I just knew these things were wrong. And in my childhood, obviously my mom wasn't really there, my dad wasn't really there, and trying to think of like examples is hard because I'm trying to think like as an order for you guys. So from like moving around, being in Fort Lauderdale, trying to run away from the house, moments where like me and my biological sisters, okay, that actually I have a point. This, I know how I'm gonna get this started. So going from those happy memories and kind of exploring. So it was me, my dad, and my three sisters growing up. One of them being my half sister, my mom's daughter. Now, she was not a fan of me. We didn't get on whatsoever, and there was this hatred that she had towards me growing up that I would never understand, if that makes sense. But I don't actually have the desire to understand it. And with my little sister, I always felt like I was her protector, and like I was always there, like she was mine, if that makes sense. Like, and it will make more sense later on, but I always felt like I was her protector, or I tried to be. Obviously growing up, moving from house to house, being exposed to like my mom and dad doing crack, and then obviously them being porn stars and big porn stars within the industry, we were exposed to a lot of different types of people. So I didn't meet my biological mom's parents, I didn't meet my biological dad's parents, so it was really just us in the house. So when my mom and dad weren't there, it was me, my sister, and that was it. Like my half sister, she got old enough to where she could leave from time to time. Obviously, before she was even able to leave, there was a lot of things happening in the house. This fly is still in this house, so it's gonna do my head in because slightly distracting me. I'm slightly distracted. This is why we go back to ChatGPT. Because I'm trying to not just say stories to you guys. I'm trying to genuinely break this down for you to help you understand and to break down this narrative of being misunderstood. And the only way I can do that is by actually following this. Okay, so we love ChatGPT. Your childhood, where you grew up, good memories first, school, friendships, siblings. What was normal to you? Okay. So we're going to rewind this. Going back to what was... Alright, so like I said, I have my 3 siblings. Normal. There wasn't a normal to me. The normal was... I didn't have a normal. I didn't know if we were going to be in that house for as long as we were, or as long as we will be. We'll probably be moving to another house. I would hear my parents talk about money issues. Then they'd be smoking crack, and then I see them spending money. Then next you know, we have money, and then we're moving to this house. Next you know, we're looking at yachts, so then we're looking at mansions that we're never going to buy. And watching this completely dysfunctional household around me, there was no sense of normal in my life. Absolutely fucking far from it. And like, I don't remember us ever going shopping. Like, my mom would wear designer head to toe, and we would go to the thrift shop to buy our clothes, and majority of the time it would be a pass down from my older sister. And yeah, like, it wasn't fancy. Like, what my mom would wear versus what we would wear, 2 different things. I just knew that. I don't know, like, that's why nowadays when people look at superficial things and designer and this and that, like, I don't care about these things. I never have. Like, I've seen someone obsess over them, and I've never been that type of person. So yeah. But back to ChatGPT, because I'm trying not to go on a tangent for you guys. And okay, things that shifted, changed for you, affected your mindset, or shaped how you see the world. Guys, these questions are not going to help me. These are not going to help me. As much as ChatGPT genuinely trying to help me, it's not going to help me. Because, like, I remember being a kid and my biological mom being on tour, because she wasn't just a porn star. She started off as a dancer, and different clubs would hire her to obviously perform there. So she would have these massive, beautiful costumes made for her. And like, as kids, we always idolized the costumes because we just thought they were beautiful. But we knew what they were for. We knew she was dancing. We knew that she was stripping, and that men would throw money on her. Because I remember one time we stayed at the house at the back of the club, and my biological dad and mom came back, and they had 3 black bags full of cash. And our job, well, I can't remember if my sisters were doing it with me, but I remember my job was to unfold the money and then put it in the washing machine, and then we put it in the dryer because we need to clean the money, because it would have obviously residue of cocaine or other drugs on it, so you need to clean it, you need to wash the money. And obviously it's bacteria, people are touching it, etc. So like, that is my sense of normal. is cleaning money from a young age. And then from there it was moving houses to houses, even to the point where we basically had no money. We moved into a 1-bedroom apartment. There's 5 of us that have moved into this 1 bedroom. And I don't remember my mom really being there. And like, I remember it being horrible because my biological family is like very, very racist. And this is where people, just side note, when people are racist, like, I always look at it with disgust, because you're not born that way. You don't see color. And people instill that in their children, and instill an inferiority where people are not as good as them because of color, because of hierarchy, because of, oh, you're lower class, higher class type of mentality. And in the States, racism is disgusting. And it is true where people say there's certain roads that you can't turn down. Like, that's just how it is. And I remember we moved into the ghetto, into this 1-bedroom apartment. It was predominantly black, and I would genuinely hear my biological dad and mom going insane. And I remember one time, like, I was really close with the neighbors. So we had a Caribbean neighbor, then we had an African American neighbor, which none of that ever makes sense to me, to be honest. This whole African this, African that, American attached to it, like, okay, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but guys, like, being in the UK and then seeing how people are in the UK and how people talk about themselves in the UK, where they're proud of their culture, they're proud of their heritage, they're proud of where they come from. They don't need to attach like African British onto it. They know they're Ghanaian, they know they're Nigerian, they know they're Eritrean, like, or even Caribbean. They know their roots. And even if they were born in the UK and born wherever in the UK, don't matter. Like, they don't claim, like, they say, yeah, like, I'm from London, or I'm from this place, I'm from that place, or like, what do you have in you? I'm Nigerian. Like, whereas in the States it's completely different. And whether anyone likes what I'm saying or not, it's your business, but it just feels like you're not connected with who you are culturally. And if you are and you do know, great. But if you don't, you need to look into it, because the States, like, I've always said this, like, there's no like culture. It's not like a country that is been made up of one culture. It is a country that has been made of multiple cultures to come together as one. Land of the free, no? So anyways, this is, I know it's getting political, so we're gonna pull back. So yeah, so back into what I was saying. So like, it was like a ghetto area, and basically it was just poverty. Listen, my accent's gonna fuck me. And I remember one time, like, my biological mom, she must have got in an argument with the neighbors. This is how psycho my parents are. Tell me why these people aren't even religious. Got across. I can't believe I'm telling this story because I've never said it. Got across, put it in my neighbor's garden, which is like, so the houses are literally like stacked next to each other, yeah? And then there's a little bit of grass in between each one, and then there's a little bit of pavement. She went and put this cross that she made out of wood into the neighbor's little like area of grass and lit it on fire. Bear in mind, when she was doing a photo shoot with some horses on a fucking farm, naked, let alone, she wanted her hair braided. She got single plaits. This woman did it to the same woman that she, listen, this fly and me are gonna have a fight today. Hey, get out. This is the same, hey, see, look, sometimes, I need to open this window. It's gonna stress me out. Well, the window's already open, I need to open another window. Oi, get out. Out. Come on, go. All right, success. All right, so we managed to get rid of the fly. This is good. All right, let's have a sip of coffee. Yeah, so this is the same neighbor that that plaited her hair. Psycho. But these neighbors, right? To me and my little sister, like, there was one of the neighbors. She had 2 twins, and we used to sometimes go with her to the hospital because she was looking after them, and sometimes I would babysit them. and she obviously helped me take care of my hair because my biological mom didn't know how to take care of my hair. So yeah, like she was fucking bleaching it and trying to straighten my hair. My hair was not having it. Like my hair's always been curly. There's nothing I can do about this. I'm not gonna try to hide it, and I don't want straight hair. Like that's just me personally. I've always wanted to embrace my natural beauty. So back to the story. So yeah, so this woman did that, and then next thing you know, police officers. I've seen my dad. Like I've opened the door one time while we're in this house or this area, because this is like, I'm trying to go through the memories I actually remember. I opened the door and all I remember seeing is this guy holding a gun to my dad's head, and me opening the door, holding the door open, be like, and then just shutting the door. I swear to God, I was just so calm because I was thinking, this isn't the first time I've seen shit like this. So, and that's also the house where I fell and freaking got a massive like piece of glass stuck in my knee. So yeah, that house was very interesting, and that was also the house because we had so many dogs and cats, and like we had a massive Burmese python snake and all these other animals, that this house, they must have not paid the electric bill, so they came and shut it off. Because in the States, if you don't pay your bills, it's getting shut off. Water, electric, don't matter, it's getting shut off. So they came and shut it off. And then we were, I don't remember where we were, but we were out. And then we've come back, and the animals basically, like the puppies that had been like, because the teacup chores had puppies, they were dead. Because it was freaking 32 degrees outside, and it's this little apartment, and it's overheated, and you got all these animals in crates and shit like that, and it's just disgusting. And it smelled like piss, and all I remember is like the animals basically were suffering. So from that memory, I think the next house that I remember was a house that we had, I don't know what area, I think it was somewhere near Fort Lauderdale, and this house was like, I think it was the one that had the pool and it had like a driveway, but it was on this road, and like where we were, like there were like Bloods and Crips in the area, but it was like one was down this area, one was on that side of the area. So it was like the type of place that genuinely you do not go outside after a certain time. You just don't do it. Like you just don't, because yeah, you don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. And in this house, this is like where I have some like fucked up memories as well, to be fair. And I'm trying to think, like the good memories in that house were probably me jumping off the roof to the pool, me and my little sister doing fuckeries like that. This was also the house where like basically, no, this isn't the good one, the garage, I'll get onto that one. So we're just gonna go from house to house. So this house is the one where my mom and dad like got, and we had a garden, and I remember I caught a squirrel in the bird cage, and I kept the squirrel for a day. This is what I mean, guys, I just loved animals, that's what I liked. And this is also the house I used to go to the skate park and ride around, like, because I didn't have friends, and I would go to the skate park, and this is where I'd be racing people on the bike, or just not necessarily getting into fights, but it's just like, it was the park where obviously a lot of things would just happen. And yeah, so that house, I'm trying to think, that house, I keep thinking about another house now and it's distracting my brain, but that is the house, no, that's not the house I ran away from. There's been a few houses I ran away from. Yeah, I don't really remember this house properly, funny enough. Okay, we're gonna skip now to the next house because I keep thinking about the next house. So the next house, again, I think it was somewhere in Fort Lauderdale, or I can't remember exactly, but it was another house. This one had a garage at the back, and like we had a small little garden. And this particular house, like my sister had her own room, I had my room, and I think because we turned the garage room, and then I can't remember if she had a room in this house, but I remember my room and it was green because my favorite color is green. So this house, it was the house where, long story short, I had seen at least, if I remember correctly, 3 or 4 police cars come up on the drive, bang on the door, and pull my dad out of the house. Guns pointed at this man's head. I don't remember what it was for, but he was always getting arrested for DIY. He was always getting arrested for drugs. He was always getting arrested for physical assault. That was always on his record. Those are the things that he was getting arrested for. My back. Oh my God. So that was that house. It was also the house where I remember one time, like, we had gotten in a fight that my dad basically had gone on. I don't remember why I waited for him to go to the restroom, to go to the toilet, but he had gone to the toilet, and then I had bolted out of the house. And when I bolted out of the house, I basically ran, because where the house, you came out off the drive and you cross the road and there's train tracks. So I remember bolting out of the house and running across the train tracks and then laying down on them and trying to hide from him. And then the police come in because they couldn't find me, and eventually, like, the police came down, and then all I remember is the police not finding me, but eventually him walking down the train tracks found me, and then he's basically picked me up and dragged me back to the house, and then fighting him. And then I remember us being on the lawn, and then me and him on the ground fighting, me cussing, screaming, me just trying to fight. So that was that house. It was also the house where basically he was in the room with my sister, my half sister, and he was raping her. She was screaming, and I just remember coming into the room and seeing him on top of her, and her like fidgeting, saying, "No, get off me, leave me alone." Just I don't remember everything in detail. I just remember getting on top of him and then trying to put him in a headlock and trying to fight him, and him standing up, and then him throwing me off of him, and then us being in a fight. But I can't remember everything. And then it's also the house where my biological mom, long story short, and I said this in my first like episode I filmed for Uncomfortable Chats, like basically made me her protector. And by making me her protector, or making me the protector of the household, long story short, she basically used to always reinforce that. And when she would reinforce that is moments like this where I could hear her screaming at him, saying, "Oh, you're doing heroin, you're doing heroin." But she's a hypocrite because you also do crack. You both are fucked. Anywho, not saying that what he's doing is right, far from it. But her screaming and me waking up and hearing it, and her screaming my name, "Hunter, Hunter, Hunter, save me, save me." And then me trying to bust down the door and get into the room and trying to fight my dad. And I just remember walking in and seeing him with his hands on her. So these are the type of memories from like that house, which were really dark. And then even with this house, I remember he had a office not too far from this house. And even with that house, this is the house where basically she had taken my older sister to LA the previous year, and she had promised me that she would take me. And when she took me, she, long story short, cheated on my dad with the guy that pierced my industrial piercing here. I've taken it out, but they were flirting, and like I just remember waking up to her having sex with him, and I could hear them because there was 2 beds in the room, and me kind of just moving about in the bed trying to show her I'm awake, and then she's jumped over butt naked, and and I was just like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, go to sleep, it's fine. Come. And she's like pulled me to the room, but as she's pulled me to the room, I've looked and I've seen him, and he's fucking butt naked in the bed. So then she's pulled me into the room, ran me a bath, and then had me sat in the bath, and then she's left me in there, and then she's come back, and I just remember being like, why are you cheating? Why are you doing this? Like, why are you cheating? Like, if you don't love him, if you don't want to be with him, leave him. Bear in mind, I'm at least around like 9, 10. Younger than that, because I went to school in Plantation when I was 10. So this is even younger. Like, my age is around, like, understanding how old I was around all of this is really hard, because I actually don't know how old I was around all of this time. So I don't really have a right time frame for all of this. This is even when I had social workers asking me, when did this happen? I'm like, I can just tell you when things happen. The best way I'm trying to put it is using houses as like pinpoints, because like age, like I just don't remember. Like, I don't remember celebrating birthdays, and I remember every time, any birthday that I do remember was fucking horrible. So I don't know how to describe it. So in terms of a time frame, ages wise. So yeah, so she's taken me, eventually she's gotten me dressed, and she's like, okay, we're gonna leave. And I've gotten dressed in the bathroom, I've come out, and he's sat with fucking beer, and he's smoking a cigarette. And then I just remember looking at him and then just walking out, and I thought, fucking, oh my god, he's disgusting, man. He's fucking disgusting, but both of them are disgusting as each other. You're fucking a married woman in a hotel room with her child in the other bed. Fucking disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting. But anyways, we've left the hotel, she's taken me out, and then we went and got a coffee from Starbucks, and I remember it was an iced coffee, and I remember us crossing the road, and I remember saying to her, you need to get birth control pills, you can't get pregnant, do you want to be with him, what are you gonna do? And she's like, I'm gonna get birth control pills, I'm not gonna get pregnant, I promise you. And she's like, please don't tell your dad, please don't tell your dad. I was just like, and I was so scared of her leaving, because even though she's just as fucked as my dad, like, the shit that he's doing, like, you're better with one or the other. Like, and also you're a kid, you want to believe that your parents are going to change, and that they're not going to do these things, and they're going to be different. So yeah, I was basically begging her to leave him, and she said no, and she begged me not to tell him. So then I remember us coming back from that trip, and in the same house that I was describing, we had the garage in the back. He basically had suspicions, and in this garage, like, you basically walked in and there was like posters of her, of him, from like their movies and their awards, and like it was fucking creepy, man, and his movies and all this other stuff. And then him, basically, he had suspicions, and then she had gone to LA again, and I don't know how far apart this was, but basically she wasn't answering her phone. And I'm not a liar, I've never been someone who can lie. Like, even though I was taught to lie, and like my earlier memories of when like we would go from house to house, and like when we had stayed at people's houses and when social services were called, and we were taught, say, mommy and daddy are actors and things like that, I didn't like lying, and I didn't want to be a liar, even though I was taught to lie and to be quiet and not talk. And that's why, like, my speech now, like, Like, I've always said to people, I'm a fighter. Like, I don't have mouth. I'm not like other people. So when, like, she wasn't answering the phone and he couldn't get through to her, and he was like, what? He kept grilling me. He kept being like, Hunter, like, basically like an interview, like, Hunter, what happened in LA? What happened in LA? And obviously I'm scared of my dad. Like, that's the reality. Like, this man used to physically beat the living shit out of me and my other sisters. And yeah, so when he's sat there and he's asking you a question, you're gonna answer it. So I told him, I said, look, this is what happened in LA. She said that she's gonna leave him. Like, and I was so scared. And this is probably the first time I told him something that he didn't react and didn't hit me. He basically was like, oh, it's okay, don't worry. I'm glad you told me. Da 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 da. Like, and then he basically took us from this house. But even before this house, me and my biological sister, like, not my biological, my half sister, sorry. Like, she did not like me at all. Like, she never did. Like, and I don't know why to this day, and I don't have any desire, but I remember when I was younger, she used to beat the living shit out of me. Like, when I was younger, there was a time we were at her friend's house, and I wanted to hang out with her and her friend, and then she basically got annoyed at me, so she chased me out of the room and chased me around the pool for friend's house. And how her friend's house was, like, there was the room, there was a back door, then there was a bathroom outside that was attached to the house, and that you can go through the bathroom to the pool. You can go back and forth. And I remember her chasing me around this pool to the point where I ran into the bathroom, but she must have gone through. All I remember is I slipped on water, and as I've slipped and I fell back, this girl literally got on top of me, put her hands around my throat, and was choking me. And I can't remember exactly, but like how water got in my mouth. But she basically put water in my mouth, and I was choking on it. And while she was choking me, and I couldn't breathe, and I genuinely thought she was gonna kill me. And then her friends walked in, and then I just remember her friend standing over her, looking and grabbing her, be like, stop, 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 stop. And then her friend taking care of me after that. And like, so in this house, I remember, because I'm a little bit older now, and because obviously I was taught martial arts, and because I've been beaten on and hit and so much from him, that now I'm a bit bigger, she can't hit me. Like, I'm bigger than her. Like I said in the first episode, like, my physique compared to them, I was always the bigger child, bigger boned, bigger everything. Like, I was the fat child growing up. So when I hit her back and finally we were fighting, I remember we fought in that garage, and I basically, like, I picked her up and slapped her body onto a granite tabletop, and basically it split in the middle, and she fell, and I remember beating her. And that was the level of anger that was instilled in me. So when people see that I'm so calm and I'm so relaxed, like, I was a very, very, very aggressive child because I was beaten, and because I was shown that level of aggression, and because I was fighting. Like, it was either like, you kill me or I'm gonna kill you, so I have to kill you. There's no I have no choice in my mind. So yeah, so then that house, obviously all these things happened, and then we moved to, I can't remember if it was the Everglades or then Plantation. I think it may have been the Everglades when I was a bit younger. And in the Everglades, that house was bizarre, because it was like, we moved to this house that they had bought, and I don't know obviously the ins and outs of it, but this house in particular, it was like the house where he had his truck, she had her Mustang, Oh, so yeah, this house was before the house in Fort Lauderdale. I need to like somehow mark these for you guys, because I'm also like piecing it together, because I haven't spoken about this in so much detail since the social workers, like since all these documents that I have in the freaking cupboard, I haven't read them. So we're piecing this back together. See how I did there? Perfect. So yeah, that house is the one where I used to go in the woods, and also like he taught me how to shoot a gun. He bought a gun in my name, and he taught me how to shoot. So this is when the reason why that's important is I tried to shoot my dad, didn't work out, but you know, this is what happened. So that house, I remember just like the times where he would basically just beat us. Like I just remember getting beaten, and one thing he loved to do basically, especially I remember in that house, oh yeah, this is now coming back to me, that house where he would grab our throat, like me and my little sister, this was his thing. He would grab you by your throat and basically pick you up and put you against the wall, so then your feet are dangling and he's choking you, and he would scream in your face, and then he would drop you down. This is also the house where he basically, I remember he was disciplining me for something, I don't remember, but he had this long belt that had a bull's face on it. So it was like a metal little like I'm losing my words right now, guys. It was like a metal little buckle, and it had, like I said, a bull's face on it, and the belt itself was leather. And this is the house where he basically bent me over his knee and basically was beating me with this belt with the leather side. And I remember looking back up at this man saying, "It don't hurt." Oh my God. This is where when you're trying to face your abuser and they abuse you even more. Oh my God, did this man beat me. He flipped the belt around and he put the metal bit where the bull was, flipped it and beat me with that side of the belt. And I remember I had marks on my ass for days, weeks, bruises, like the amount of times I had bruises on my arms, my neck, like that was normal, like growing up. So yeah, that was that house. So now another house is when we lived, this was during Hurricane Katrina. We lived on a house where it was on a lake, well not a lake, it was on breakwater, so fresh and salt water. And that house had like a shed, a pool, and then you had the sliding glass doors that opened up to the kitchen, the living room, and then you had the bedrooms in there. This is the house where I remember like we made friends with the neighbors' kids, and I remember like walking into the bathroom and seeing a dildo in the shower. And that there was a period of time where my mom, she wasn't there again, like, and I don't know where she was at this point, but again, she was obviously traveling, she was away, she was shooting films, like this is the shit we were exposed to. So it was his, and it was in the shower. And my biological dad, bear in mind, he did straight and gay porn, so like that was his. But as a kid, I knew what that was for, and I knew what he was doing. So you can imagine, like as a young child, knowing these things was already fucking so yeah, so this house is also the house where, is this the house that I saw? No, it isn't. Yeah, so this is the house where, again, mom and dad weren't together, and yeah, like this is also the house that I shaved one of my eyebrows off of. I shaved the whole eyebrow off my face. Don't laugh. what else? Yeah, the next house. So this house, so the plantation house, to be honest, this is the house, like the last house that I remember living in. But let's not skip, right? So if we go back to, if anyone's even still on to the story, if we go back to the house where, what was it? The one that had the garage, and when I said that, I told my dad that my mom had cheated on him in LA. Basically, he had left her and he had took us. This was a common theme in the marriage, by the way, where he would take us and disappear. She would take us and disappear, right? This was common. And lawyers involved, and mom presenting herself as this woman who just knows everything, knows it. Literally, she's a lawyer, she's a doctor, she is everything, apparently. This is where her being a diagnosed narcissist and having split personality makes sense now. So, anyways, we'll have some coffee and we go into this one. So, I've told him he's basically taken me, and all I remember is her not being there. My older sister, like my half sister, her not being there. I think she was at her friend's and she ended up staying there. Whatever happened, right? Don't remember all the details. And long story short, he had met this woman, and this woman was a lot older. Was she lovely? Yes. She had a condo on South Beach. Now, I'm not going to say the name of the condo because I don't want to expose this person and their business like that. But we were living literally on South Beach. There was her condos, the sidewalk, the beach. I don't know how my dad finessed this woman, but she obviously had all the right intentions. She's met this man who's 6'5". He's an ex-bodybuilder. He's a porn star, but he doesn't want to be a porn star. His wife's cheated on him, and all these things that he's fucking into to her. Yeah. So I always felt bad, and she was really lovely to me and my sister. And obviously, in this condo, like, I had my own room, I had her own room, and they had theirs. So then, I basically made friends with like one of the girls who had lived like from across the road from us, and also this woman had a shop not far from the condo. And she would sell antiques and all these other things and crystals. And I've always loved crystals, right? I always think they're beautiful. And that's also another story, right? And we'll get into that on another episode. Someone remind me, please, because there's a lot. And there'll probably be a lot of questions, but there's a lot of everything. And I'm trying not to go on tangents. I'm really trying not to. So yeah, so living in this condo, but what I realized is he's obviously said to her he doesn't want to do crack anymore, but she also had a thing for drinking. So then I don't know if he got her hooked on crack, but obviously he would tell me, like, when he had taken us, I had said to him, you need to change, you have to be different, you can't do these things. And he had promised me that he's not going to hit us anymore. He's not going to sexually abuse us anymore. He's not going to hurt us anymore. He's not going to do these things anymore, right? That did not change. He did his best to keep his temper under wrap in front of her, but when doors were closed, shit was happening. So, yeah. Eventually, he started doing crack again, and she could see that something was going on with him. Obviously, she was drinking, and he was fucking her head, and you could see she was drinking more, and you could see that she was like losing herself in this whole situation. And the amount of times that I basically would run out and go sit on the beach and stare at the moon and pray that things would change. I remember being in her shop, like around her crystals, and this also the day that like my chihuahua got hit by a car. Very, very sad. Very fucking sad. But yeah, we're not going to get into that because that's really sad. Yeah, I sat around all these crystals just praying and begging for things, like to take me away, for someone to come and save me, because I just could not deal with this anymore. And guys, what? Am I getting emotional? So yeah, just begging and hoping that this would all change and this would all go away. So then, long story short, he had started getting violent with her. He started getting violent with us. I would try to step in like I always do because I'm the protector. And then she had obviously seen that he's violent with us, particularly me, and that I'm the little fighter, basically. So that obviously, oh guys, it's only that little bit of moment that's making me upset. This is okay, we're doing good. So yeah, so he had left her. Next thing you know, he's back with my mom again. And I just remember saying to this man, because I don't understand, like, it would never make sense. And social workers and police will always ask me, Hunter, like, you knew all these things were going on. You knew right from wrong. How do you know right from wrong? And I don't know. That's the answer. I don't. So, yeah, we left her and somehow he's gotten back with my mom. Next thing you know, we've moved to the plantation house. And this is where, like, I'm coming up from 9 to 10 and I'll get into that. And then there was like more physical, sexual, and all these other things that even got worse. Or maybe it's just because I can remember it more in that house because it was the last house. But yeah, like all of these things that had basically been happening to me as a kid, I just remember praying to be out of it. So that's why now, for me to be where I am now, I remember arriving in this country, and even when I would talk about this with the social workers after all the shit I went through with my biological mom here, I would, like, for me to be here after everything and to be where I am now, this is why it's like, I just don't, like, the person I was meant to be versus the person I am now is completely different. So it's like, when people sit there and think that I've had it easy or project or make me out to be something that I'm not, just based on looks and my physical, like, appearance, the way I talk, the way I dress, how I am, I'm just like, you have no fucking clue what I actually came from. And this is not even half of it, guys. So I'm basically doing this platform, like I said, because I want to build a community of people that been through shit. Also, look how successful you are. And also people that are going through stuff, people that have been through stuff, people that just experience shit. And it's not that you have to go through extreme situations like this that create trauma for you to have trauma. Like, we all have trauma from life. Like, life is unfortunately hard and it creates traumatic things and experiences. And even if you haven't been physically abused, sexually abused, mentally abused, like, we go through trauma. Like, we basically, the way to describe it is, just because I've been through this and you've been through something different doesn't mean we don't have the same trauma response, right? Like, you can be someone who doesn't like confrontation because you don't like confronting, like, conflict or problems that you don't like, that you don't want to deal with it because it scares you, or like you've had an ex who every time you try to bring something up, they shut you down, they made you feel belittled or made you feel like what you're saying is stupid or things like that, so now you've gone quiet. It's no different from me having my biological parents like physically hit me and also teach me how to be quiet and shut my mouth. Like, the response is still that we can't talk, we're scared to talk. Do you get what I mean? Because, so this is where I just want to create a place where trauma is normal. It doesn't mean that it's okay, but we all go through shit. And the only way that you're gonna uncover your triggers and your trauma and then heal from it and then have to reprogram and unprogram the shit you've been through is by talking about it. And I've done so much work through talking about things, through reinforcing my behaviors, through experiences, through setting boundaries, to loving myself, to doing this, to doing that, to become the person I am today. Otherwise, I would be either dead, an escort or porn star, sugar daddy's website. Or I'd be on drugs and a fucking bitch, mate. Like, one or the other. Like, I know where I was going based on what was being pre-exposed to me and being exposed to me and what I was going through. I chose different. So this is also another thing, is like, when people are going through something or things are happening around them and they feel like their whole world is crushing around them and they feel like they only have one choice. No, we always have a choice. You may not have that choice now, but you have a choice. Like, the choice will come. And you can always make the decision. Always, 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 always. And every time where I had an opportunity to make the right decision, and it may not always been the right decision, but it was the right decision for that time. And we go through things, and sometimes, yeah, it's there to make us stronger. It doesn't make it right or wrong, but I wouldn't change anything about my past because it's made me who I am. And this is why when people say, Hunter, why are you so loving? Because I am giving what I didn't receive, not to compensate and not to hope that I get it back, but because I am embodying the person that I want to be, which is a loving, caring person. So therefore, that is what I give out. Do I want it back? Of course. Who doesn't want to receive that in general? Like, people, we all want to feel loved, cared about. Do you know what I mean? But the difference is how many of us actually show it? How many of us actually show kindness? And this whole narrative that people have painted out about me is bullshit. So this is why I have no problem leaving people, walking away from people, like, because I know I've always given everything I have. Like, so yeah. This is my second episode, and we're gonna leave it at the point where biological mom and dad basically got back together after dad took us and ran away. Bear in mind, we were going through court and all these other things, and that's a whole nother fucking bother. But yes, I'm trying to make it as straightforward as possible. So hopefully this makes sense. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, and I really appreciate it. Again, if anyone has anything bad to say, just fuck off, because I really don't have time for it. I don't have energy for it. This is something that is obviously not easy for me to talk about in terms of like online. Like, I can talk about these things without a problem, but I haven't gone through this much depth into it, and also trying to remember things that I don't necessarily remember fully is hard, and going back into the past. So be kind, be nice, and if you have nothing good to say, then don't fucking anything at all, because it's not needed. You don't need to. We don't always need to say something just to say something. But yeah, second episode of Uncomfortable Chats. I don't know if I'm going to release the first one because it was all over the place, but I hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. I'm meant to be filming this every Sunday, so I am going to film my third one this Sunday, and I will pick it up from there. But thank you very much. Everyone have a great day.